Why is it important to believe that better exists? Does anyone want to kick us off with that?
Better does exist. But at what cost?
Well, I'll tell you my practical story that happens to me every morning when I drive into the office.
Not into the garage, into the office.
Into the office. So I circulate for parking rarely. It's my habit because so many times in the past I would go all the way looking for the parking spots I liked and they were taken. Eventually I just got into the habit of settling for the first one that I saw. And to this day, I pulled up. I thought I saw in the distance my favorite parking spot open and I was like, no, it can't be so. I parked in a non-wonderful location, walked, and then I saw it was in fact open. And what did I learn in that moment? Sometimes you have to believe that better does exist. Take a chance in the effort to create that opportunity for yourself.
I think you shouldn't settle just for the sake of settling, playing it safe. But you shouldn't also give up what makes you happy for what you think is going to be better out there.
Yeah, FOMO, because then you slip into fear of missing out territory.
Right. As Rumi said, what you are seeking is seeking you. Okay. So if you deserve better, if you are healed and at a point that you want better and you're elevating yourself, better will come. But if you, out of FOMO, you say, I don't want this person, I don't want this parking spot, I don't want this life, I'm going to find better. If you're not energetically there, you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
I think we're not perfect. None of us are. I mean, I thought I was for the longest time.
How about me?
And no, definitely not.
That was quick.
We thought I was perfect. But I
We
realized,
did?
well, everyone did. But I thought I was perfect. I thought I knew everything. I thought I was complete in every aspect of life. And when I find someone who fills certain gaps for me, not self-love, not on any of that I need to give myself, but if someone, let's say, I'm always grumpy and this person always wants to cheer me up, okay, that's a yin-yang kind of a relationship. I wouldn't give that up to find something better. Because if I'm trying to find something better, I would equate it to me being perfect and I need someone just as perfect as me. And it may be a perfect person, it may be a perfect house, it may be a perfect situation or job or whatever, but I'm not going to fit quite well into it. So you can find better, no shame in that, but the way you can fit into a relationship, partnership, job, or whatever it may be, it's because you need certain things out of life or out of a person, and that person gives it to you in that way.
Yeah.
And you give them back what they need.
I love that. So it's not just about upgrading for the sake of upgrading. It's about really being ready. You have to be ready for better. And the truth is, when it comes to my little parking escapades, sometimes I want the walk. Sometimes I'm more compatible with a 1-minute walk than I am with getting the perfect spot and then just being right by the door. Sometimes what you need isn't what society or the world would call quote unquote better. It's what you need, and you are where you are.
Yeah.
Now, my follow-up is, how do we ensure that we don't slip into using upgrading or believing that there's better as an excuse to be a rolling stone? And what that means is you never settle down. You never get rooted. You're never mature enough to truly get grounded in your life and give your best to your job, your relationship, your house, your life, because you're like, no, I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. How do we know the difference?
Thank you for trusting me as the psychologist of the group, even though you are. If we have unhealed wounds, if we have issues that haven't been resolved in ourselves, we constantly look for better versus looking internally and fixing ourselves. So if someone's always looking to be validated, always looking to want better because they think that that's going to complete the circle, I think you have to go back to yourself and see, why do I feel like that in the first place?
Love it.
So deep. Your words are very deep. Very deep.
Sure.
I mean, the example I was thinking in my head was Uncle Wong's powder cakes over at Taipei Airport.
What? What?
Uncle Wong's powder cakes,
Over
Taipei
at
Airport.
Airport.
So I got off a plane and everybody was lined up by Uncle Wong's powder cakes. They're buying them and I'm like, I'm hungry, but there must be something better. I kept going and going. I saw McDonald's. I'm like, I can do better. Went. Everybody was closing up.
I think their Big Mac is better over there. Though.
For sure.
Right.
For
better
sure.
than Uncle Wong's cheesecakes.
No, Uncle Wong's powder cakes. So I just kept on going, and they were closing shop everywhere, left and right. And I realized to myself, shit, man, Uncle Wong's had the line in front of it. I should have stood in line.
Yeah. Sometimes the first thing that you see really is ideal.
Yeah. Sometimes you go looking for something better and you never find it. I think the line in front of it should have been indicative of there's something good here.
But at which point, Kevin, my lovely brother, at which point are you settling?
I didn't settle. Well, I wasn't settling. My intention was to find something better.
In life. Like, let's say if I find the first parking spot and I just quickly pull into it, or I find my first girlfriend and I say, okay, marry me. What's that telling you about yourself? That you believe that you cannot do better, that this person or this parking spot was a gift from the ether and you have to quickly hang on to it? Or is it like a lesson, or is it like a lesson in trusting that there's more better things out there for you? Because a lot of people settle with their first love, with their first job, with their first everything, because they believe that's as good as it gets. And then at 65 years old, they're like, I can't believe it. I lived my life with this a-hole for the last 55 years. I did this, I did that, same company, but I don't feel fulfilled. I feel like I need to go buy a red Porsche and travel the world and change my entire identity because what I fit myself into wasn't me.
Very
Astute.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I pulled it out of your mind.
Wow. Very astute. However, I think at every stage of your life, you have different needs. Like your first job, maybe at that point it felt amazing, but looking back, it wasn't the best. But at that point, it made sense to you. Kind of like Uncle Wong's powdered cakes
in Taipei.
But do you really want to put something sugary and sweet and doughy into your body?
People were buying it by the box, man.
Doesn't matter. 85 degrees over your head, lines out the door. Doesn't mean you're going to live happily ever after.
That's true. But to my defense, I did walk past it.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted better.
Hunt.
I wanted better. But then I realized sometimes looking for better, maybe the better was in front of you.
Damn. So to Kevin's amazing point,
Thank you.
I have a thought here that intuition matters. And this is why it's imperative that we develop our ability to discern and hear our intuition and trust our instincts. Because otherwise there is no hard and fast rule. What applies to Kevin might not apply to Artie, may apply to Amanda, and it might change every few months for all of us. Some of us may need to mobilize, some of us may need to double down. It just depends on the stage where you are, and only we can know that as individuals. So what do you think I would recommend to our audience if they wanted to develop such a gift?
I think if you say...
That was a cue.
Oh.
What do you think I would recommend to our audience
What
if they
would you?
wanted to develop such a gift? It's
I'm
one
not
word.
a mind reader.
It's
Meditate.
one word. Thank you. You don't
Meditate.
need to be a mind reader. This is the Amanda brand. Meditate. Develop the ability to discern and listen to what your body and your inner compass is telling you.
I think that's what I was going to say, but the long way. Because I think a lot of people, let's say they put fear as my gut feeling, right? My feeling of lack as my gut feeling. Those are not your gut feelings. Those are just your fears. So you have to be able to discern between what is you being pulled to versus what you're being pushed to. If you're being pushed to take the last spot because you think it's the last one, then you're doing it out of fear. If being pulled towards doing it the first one is because, or the first spot you see, is because something's telling you this is what you need right now. So make sure to meditate, as dear Amanda said, and understand that that gut feeling could either be anxiety or it could be your calling. So try to meditate so you can understand and differentiate which times your gut's telling you, oh, you're going to miss out. Quickly stand in Mr. Wong's,
powdered cakes.
Sure. Stand in that line because
Uncle.
I'm going to miss out because what if I don't find anything better? That's coming from fear. Or if your gut says, you know what? I'm going to go to the end of the airport, find something. If I don't find it, that's fine too. That's coming from your instinct.
That's what I did.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But don't go back kicking yourself for not selecting that first.
In all fairness, I did go back to Uncle Wong's powdered cakes
Was it good?
because that was the last thing to eat in the airport. Everything else was closed.
How did it taste?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good. So now, based on this whole theme that we have going on here, someone might sit and reflect on their life, or they might project into the future. How does someone know if their best and the better that they're looking for really is behind them or in front of them?
Well, there's a song in the 70s or 80s called The Best Is Yet to Come. I do believe the best is where you decide to water the grass. If you've done all the work with yourself and you know exactly what you want, what you're not willing to settle for, and you finally find, let's say, a person that you mesh with, that energetically on the same vibrational frequency, and you are in the same place, but you're also completing each one another, then I think you have to settle that in that such situation and water it. Because a lot of people say, okay, this is great. Now I'm no longer getting the butterflies in my stomach. I'm no longer being excited as much as I was. Maybe that's a sign that I need to move on and upgrade. But I think you need to, if you're complete, and I keep saying that, you have to be feeling adequate and complete before you go looking for, let's say, a relationship. You have to know what you want and what you don't want. And once you do find what you want and what you've been praying for and hoping for and meditating over, then you have to water that and make sure you don't grow it. What do you do with it?
You nurture it.
Nurture it. Thank you. Thank you.
I love how you went into such a complex answer. I love it. I always like to think the best is in front of me, because if you always think it's behind you, that makes you old. If you think it's in front of you, it makes you young.
I love that.
Thank you. So,
Wait. What about me?
what about you?
I have one.
Go on.
I like to think that the best is now. How the hell
Well,
did
that's
you
what
know
I
I was going to
said.
say that shit?
I said that. I said that.
You
I say
did?
it's now.
What I got from what you said was it's wherever you nurture it. And I agree with that too.
Yeah.
But also in my lowest lows, I have not been able to see the best. And I don't have the power to nurture it. You know, in a real low, it just feels like you're drowning and someone's holding your head underwater and there's nowhere to go. So in that moment, I just accept that the best is that I'm alive. Super simple. And then just kind of build your way up incrementally from there until you get to the nurturing portion. Because you're absolutely right. But I think when in
I'm always
distress, it's tough to
My wonderful mom,
invest.
amazing mom. When she speaks about the good old days. Okay, yeah, they're good old days, but she never talks about good days in the future.
Yeah.
And my brilliant daughter picked up on that. And she said, why does Mama Shishi always talk like everything is gone? So I thought that was really interesting, that the way you speak, it tells other people you've lived a good life, but the future looks bleak.
Yeah.
Or you can say, you know what, it continues, and you speak positively about the future.
Who was that guy that used to do the commercials for the juicer?
Jack LaLanne.
Yeah, Jack LaLanne. He had an attitude that I loved. Everything was like the past was great, present is wonderful, and the future is going to be great too. And he never made a distinction between the good old days. I don't look forward to aging. And he died at, I think, 96. And he was juicing to the last moment. And I almost...
But not steroids.
But I loved when I watched his infomercials, even though I didn't want to buy the juicer. I loved the way him and his wife in those jumpsuits were walking around and talking about their life as if they were still young.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's all mindset. There comes a time when we can't control our mindset. And at that point, it's just a matter of surrendering, trusting, meditating, and then letting everything kind of settle into place.
My last brilliance of today, okay? I think that's why the dating life is so broken. The dating apps are so broken because people always believe they're going to have better. They don't put in the effort into what they have now. They don't put in the hard work. They don't do anything. As soon as something happens, there's an incompatibility or an argument, or I like Brussels sprouts, I like cheese and hot dogs, then that becomes a point of breakage. Then you're going to start looking for someone else. So in the context of when we talk about is there better out there, you can go on a dating app and you can just swipe until your hands start bleeding, right? Because there's always going to be someone better looking.
That's a lot of swipes.
Someone better looking, someone more financially secure, someone more family oriented. But I always believe, like, if someone has 70%, 75% of what you're looking for, and that other 25% is just trivial things, then you should just look at that as a match. If you guys match, you guys have a good conversation, and just work on the differences as if they are to be celebrated. So never look for too many options because you're going to get lost in those.
Brilliant.
Triple Shot Mindset.